Hey, whoa, everybody. Welcome to the first and only BUSTERCAST with me, Ben Sane, and my buddy in anime, Tom Oliver.
Yes, the two most anime people in the entire Procrastinators podcast. The only ones with the guts to fucking
to
commit
watch an anime for this
doing
cast.
this fucking podcast.
We talked about it for months, but when the chips were down, the other guys just couldn't swing the bat. Tom.
Yeah.
Okay, I might feel stupid, but you've seen Fooly Cooly, right?
I've seen Fooly Cooly multiple times.
Okay. Hey, well, never mind. You know what? I guess we should talk about Gunbuster first. I guess we should move in chronological order. Gunbuster is it's the greatest anime of all time. It's got funny memes about time dilation and what else? Isotonic crystals that retain mass and declining gravity or warp speed. I have parentheses, question mark. I took a couple of notes whenever they talked about some weird science mumbo jumbo. Because I thought that's cool. The one thing that I really love about Gunbuster is how seriously it takes its hard sci-fi shit.
Oh, absolutely. That's the best. That was because I think we should maybe frame this for everybody.
Okay.
We talked about doing this podcast and talking about Gunbuster and Diebuster a couple months ago, and
I mean, noodles, by the way.
Yeah, delicious. We as a collective have referenced Gunbuster and Diebuster in the past, especially Nate, because Nate talks about them in passing multiple times, and that was the first time I heard about it because you guys had all watched it. I'd never seen it before.
I think somebody showed. I don't know if Nate showed it to me, if it was someone else, but yeah, I'd seen it years ago. So after Fooly Cooly. By the way, historically, this is the Gunbuster was Hideaki Anno's the first anime he ever directed.
No shit.
Yeah, I'm okay. God, I hope I'm right about that. But I think it said so on Wikipedia. Diebuster is a direct sequel to it, which happened in 2001 or something.
It was much later.
You know what? We should make sure we got Diebuster. Okay, Gunbuster is 1988. Diebuster is, I think it's 2001. No, 2004. Okay. Yeah. And this is the same people, a lot of the same people that went on to make Fooly Cooly, which was... No! Diebuster was after Fooly Cooly.
Really?
It was a year... Fooly Cooly was 2003. Okay, I had it backwards.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's weird... It's weird how much watching Diebuster feels like watching Fooly Cooly sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot of just aesthetic and vibe similarities. Of course the aesthetic's the same because it's fucking Gainax, but just the way the characters are designed and the way that they move and a lot of the tonal of the downtime stuff in between the high octane shit tonally. There's a lot of similarities to FLCL.
A lot of the characters just resemble each other. A lot of the faces they make and the shots they use seem very similar. The scene when the space monster or the fluctuating gravitational well or whatever they call it is standing up, looks exactly in the mist, looks exactly like when the hand monster in the trench coat stands up in episode 5 of Fooly Cooly. All right, getting ahead of ourselves. We should talk about Gunbuster first. Are we assuming that people have watched it already?
I would hope so. I would say right now, if you're just walking into this being oh, what the fuck is the Gunbuster Diebuster? Go watch them first, because we're gonna probably spoil the fuck out of everything.
I'll just tell you up front that they are the best anime ever made, and you should definitely watch them. And you probably want to do that before we spoil it. This is my rating for each is 10 out of 10. They're both the best. They're very different though.
They are supremely different, which is one of the things I definitely want to talk about.
Gunbuster is it's like Gundam. It's like old Gundam crossed with Rocky. all the stuff, the training stuff in the beginning with the coach, it's like, it just is Rocky. Like, they just ripped off Rocky and like put Rocky in it. What if Rocky was a girl and piloting a giant robot? But other than that, like the shots of them running along the beach while the coach is on the bike and stuff.
It's like, what if Japan made Rocky? You get Gunbuster.
They straight up just ripped Rocky off. I'm 100% sure of it. I think Rocky was like 4 years before Gunbuster.
The training montages of her like working like doing like training exercises like in the robot, like doing like jumping jacks and running like in the robot is pretty funny.
It's very funny. It's very cool. Man, I don't know. So like the part where, do we want to like go like point by point through the story or just like gush about the cool parts? Because like the first really cool part to me is like the first time when they go, this is after they after they get sent on assignment to the space station and they go into like sub-light speed for the first time, and while they're in there they say like every minute is like 6 months on Earth.
Yes.
Or something like that.
There was like, so as someone who just watched this like a month and change ago for the first time, I was like, this is a pretty good anime. This is pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of like hitting the notes. I mean, there's some cool little visual stuff, but like, yeah, this is good. And then they do that jump to like high speed and they're like, oh yeah, we're actually going to take time dilation into consideration with all of this. And that just continues to go on to frame like the entirety of the rest of the story. I'm just like, oh, I am in for this. This is fucking sick.
That's basically what it's like about later on. I know there's that other anime by the guy who did like your name. You know what I'm talking about? One of his like older movies is about like a boy and a girl like communicating across like interstellar distances with like time dilation.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but like
I have not either.
Presumably it's kind of the same like idea, and that was like way after Gunbuster. So, you know. And so like they go on this mission, and okay, I didn't like remember this part from the first time I see it, but when she was a kid, her dad died in space, right? And when they go into sublight speed, they find the ship that her dad was in. And like to her, like her dad died when she was a kid, so it would have been like 10 years ago. But because it's at sublight speed, the ship, only 2 days have passed on the ship. So like there's a serious possibility that her dad might have just survived and like been like camped out here on the ship for like a mere 2 days in his what's the word? Rotational frame, his frame of reference, right? So like, I don't know. I was like, oh my god. And then, you know, later on it happens in reverse where like Noriko ends up spending time, you know, they come back from that mission and they were gone for 10 minutes and everyone's like, hey, congratulations, 6 months have passed. Pretty cool, right? And then it happens more. It happens a lot more.
Yeah, like there's like this whole conflict with like, you know, the space monsters and stuff. It's like fucking up with humanity. But like the story really kind of does focus a lot on like the consequences of space travel. It's kind of like someone had the idea of like you should get that Rona check, dude.
No, it's just water. This is water and pasta.
The whole story kind of feels like, you know, I guess like, cause like the space like mecha genre and shit, there's like a lot of just like, I guess glorification of like space and stuff. Like space is so fucking cool. Like, wouldn't it be great to go to space?
Yeah.
And Gunbuster feels like space travel is fucked.
Yeah.
And it's really bad. And like your like romantic ideal of space travel is ignorant and dumb. This is what it would really be like.
Noriko going,
time just stops being a thing.
Noriko going to space just ruins her whole life. It just like ruins everything. Every relationship she ever had is like torn apart by you know, age difference. Like she Though I think the first time she comes back to Earth, her classmate that she was in the same class with has aged like 10 years while she's aged like 6 months. And now she's like a mom, she's got a kid. They're like in totally different stages of their life now. Their old bully from school has become like the like drill sergeant at the academy. And they're just like in a whole different league now. They're just don't have anything to relate to each other over anymore. And then and then I don't know. That's like there's more of that, but I think you get the idea. Time dilation, it's just like, everyone ages.
It's really
while she stays
it's
young.
interesting because like we kind of have an analog to that in real life, right? Like you're close with somebody, like you go to high school with someone, and like your life beats are kind of on the same path, and then you go to college, whatever, and your paths diverge,
dude,
and life becomes so much different. And this is like another stage of that, because now it's just like time is like a constant that we have in our lives. But in this, like they're saying with space travel, even like your ages and stuff can divide up and go on different paths, and all of a sudden you can be different ages of people you grew up with together. It's like such a fucking weird concept, and the fact that it's grounded in like some like theoretical kind of like, this is kind of how we're assuming it works if all the science checks out.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty wild that way, and that was like really the fascinating thing that kept me invested throughout the whole thing.
Yeah,
just like
this
could happen.
This is like literally real science. Like this just is what would happen in the real world if we did this stuff. I was saying on stream last night that like, dude, the way how like Noriko like suddenly finds herself like confronted with her like much older former classmates who are like have completely moved on with their lives. It feels like real life. Like in my life, that's how I feel about my like my old like classmates and stuff. Only I also got old. I just didn't do any of that other stuff.
Right.
So it's just worse in every way, but still relatable. Yeah, man. And then there's let me see, I have some notes here. So at some point they're in space and like shit's going bad. The space monsters are being real toughies, and then they reveal that they've got this like super robot, this like real super better robot called the Gunbuster. And it's just really big, and she pilots it, and it's a really good robot that's really good at killing space beasts.
I mean, we should,
and it kind of comes out of nowhere.
It really does.
It's not built up at all.
We should point out that like Noriko, the main character, she's like a klutz and a fuck up and a dumbass, and like that's like the whole thing. Is like she wants to go into space. She wants to like find/honor the memory of her father, and wants to be a badass, but she's just inept at every stage.
She's kind of inept at every stage. The coach like picks her and favors her at every turn, and it's like implied that he sees talent in her, that like she is innately talented, and I guess I have to just assume he's correct because it ends up working out.
Yeah, she ends up piloting that Gunbuster pretty good. So
it's too bad that like we couldn't like see her potential. You know what I mean? Like he might be like, oh no, I can see she's got potential, but we just have to like take his word for it, because like it looks like she's just fucking up and not that good.
It's that typical anime thing where they're just like, no, the guts and the tenacity, that's what really matters,
Yeah, but like I feel like it's established over and over again that Amano, her like her senpai, has like more guts and more tenacity, and yet even though it's sort of implied that like Coach and Amano are like gonna like get married later, which is funny.
Yeah,
that's even though it's implied that they're like in a relationship like that, Coach still definitely thinks like Noriko is the one who's got like the big, she's got to be the one to do it, to do the stuff. Yeah, and I don't know. I guess he ends up being right.
I guess he does know. The funny thing I wanted to mention about Coach, and like this just shows how much of like a not anime guy I am, is that the guy, the voice actor, the VA for Coach, is the same guy who does Johnny in Guilty Gear. So the whole time I was just like, Johnny's just hitting on this little girl. It's like, what else is fucking new? I guess it's pretty funny.
Johnny's the one with like he's on he's friends with the anchor girl,
Yeah,
right?
he's the guy in like
the guy
the
who flips
trench
the
coat.
coins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same guy. So I was just like, man, that's pretty cool.
It's at first I was like, oh no, Coach is like fucking his student, but then it's implied later, no, they didn't like fuck or anything, but like she wants to, and maybe they would have later if he didn't like die of space radiation syndrome, which I guess he got on the ship that the dad also died in. Space radiation is a thing that gets mentioned again in Diebuster. There's I really like in Gunbuster how like the end of the episodes have these little like science explanation pieces. Did you see those?
Yeah, I think I saw some of them. It was a while since I saw Gunbuster, so
if you wait till after the credits, they'll sometimes have these little like the two, like Amino and Noriko, like explaining science, and then Coach shows up. And some of it's real science, like Lorenz transformations and like time dilation, and some of it is fake, like ice, that thing called ice seconds, which I guess is some kind of like power source. They never talk about it. They mention that a lot of the science was discovered by a guy called Dr. Tannhauser, who created the Tannhauser Gate, which is just a reference to Blade Runner. The guy at the end of Blade Runner references Tannhauser Gates, and I guess they were just like, we need a name for a scientist who came up with some fake technology. Let's just use that. Funny. I don't know.
Works.
I like it. There's like, okay. Back to the moment when the Gunbuster is revealed. Basically, she gets in the Gunbuster, and all of a sudden, a space battle that was going to just like wipe out their whole fleet and kill everyone, she turns the tides and beats the bad guy, and like all of a sudden, like bam, like happy music. Like it's like a tragedy, and then all of a sudden it's like bam, no, we won. No, it's good though. Everything's good. Life is beautiful. I thought some of the music transitions were a little abrupt. Thought Gunbuster is definitely more amateur. I don't know, or not amateur, but it's definitely like less advanced. I don't know. I feel like by the time they made Diebuster, they had like figured out how to like really pack a punch, like an emotional punch into a story better. Because Gunbuster is like, it has a pretty emotional ending, but it's not on the level. It's not on the level of like Fooly Cooly and Diebuster, which come later.
I feel like, in between, like this is obviously the late 80s, and I feel like there's a lot of like kind of modern tropes and kind of just like techniques you can use to build tension and relieve tension in storytelling, especially that anime is adopted, that maybe weren't as commonplace. Because like Gunbuster doesn't implement, a lot of the kind of traditional Gainax sort of techniques that are used all the time in Diebuster, because it feels like Fooly Cooly. It has those like, I don't know, it's kind of like hard to kind of pinpoint and say exactly this, but like that feeling of like rising action, like when like a really hype moment happens, like you fucking get rock hard, you're like, oh right, this is the best shit ever.
Yeah, Gunbuster really nails that like a bunch of times. It's super fucking good. Just like the Gunbuster is like really not built up or foreshadowed, like hardly at all. I kind of feel the same way about like the ending. Like, okay, there's more like time shenanigans. Like Amino ends up getting, like she ends up aging like another like 10 or 20 years or something, while Noriko stays on the ship and she only ages like 1 year. So for like they finally get back together again for like their big last mission or whatever against the space aliens, because the space aliens are like breeding in stars, so they have to go to like the center of the galaxy and basically like destroy the center of the galaxy, because that's their like breeding hive or whatever. They gotta have a black hole bomb, and they make this black hole bomb that's like bigger than the fucking Earth. Or it's like planetary size.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, and they're just gonna fucking make a big black hole in the middle of the galaxy, and there's, like the plan fails, but then they're like, oh no, we gotta go in there, and we gotta use our degeneracy generator, and we can add the necessary mass to make it happen. I didn't understand, like, why did the bomb not have enough mass? Like, why wouldn't you make the bomb just have enough mass? Did something happen to the mass? Did someone reduce the mass? Why isn't there? Where did the mass go? What is a degeneracy generator? What does it supply mass? I mean, I guess so. They mentioned degeneracy generators like a whole bunch of times over the.
Yeah.
They don't really say what they are.
There are times when like the explanations turn into like Star Trek technobabble, and I just kind of nod my head. I'm like, okay, the plot says that we need a high stakes ending, I guess.
And
I've only seen it once, so maybe there's something I missed. It's very possible.
I'm gonna blow your mind right now.
All right, go for it.
So like, oh wait, there's a Gunbuster Wiki. The degeneracy generator was the standard power source for the Buster machines and other mecha up till the technology was lost sometime between blah blah and Gunbuster and Diebuster. Okay, there's like nothing else to it. Boring. All right. So like when the series starts, like all the technology and science stuff seems pretty grounded. Like it's just like, time dilation. Yeah, fair enough. And then later on there's like degeneracy generators, like, okay. And then there's like one or two shots in the 6th episode where you can see that like some of their technology is based on like diodes and like helmets that like connect to like the brains of dolphins. Like there's one or two like shots in the 6th episode where like a dolphin is like hooked up to like some machinery and his brain is like doing the calculations to like pilot the ship or like do the degeneracy generation or whatever.
Oh god, I forgot about that. But yeah, that does happen.
So there it definitely moves into as like, okay, we're moving into like some like softer, like weirder sci-fi.
The reveal of the Gunbuster itself is kind of like the pivot point where it goes from like grounded technology to like we're gonna start taking some liberties here, and from then on it's kind of like, all right,
yeah,
we're just going all out.
It's powered by this so-called degeneracy generator, so it basically just can do whatever. It just can shoot giant laser beams and whatever. It doesn't matter. There's hey, maybe you can explain this to me. So there's like 3 so-called Buster machines, and the third one is the black hole bomb that they end up like blowing up the center of the galaxy with. And I guess the Gunbuster itself is number 2, but also there's a number 1, and I guess by the end there's just like 2 Gunbusters and they like merge. Is that right? Did I have that right?
I think so.
Because I'm pretty sure Amino and Noriko both just have their own Gunbuster.
They both have a Gunbuster. That's implied, by the end of Diebuster that they both have.
I mean, you see. I think you see them piloting 2 different robots, and I think they combine at some point.
Yeah.
The ending just kind of the ending, like the details of the ending just kind of like go by pretty fast. Like
there's a lot packed into the last episode for sure.
Yeah, like the last scene, the big last scene of the last episode is when Noriko like pulls in her cockpit. She like pulls the clothes off her chest. She like rips her shirt open, but outside this action, like the Gunbuster like pulls its chest plating off or whatever, and it pulls out its like degeneracy generator heart. And I guess this is the thing that's going to like create the additional mass that lets the black hole bomb go off or whatever. It's iconic. It's an iconic moment. Oh, do we mention the Inazuma kick? The thunder kick? I think that's from this series. I think this was where that started. Just I could be wrong. It might have been from somewhere else. But characters all do Inazuma kicks in this. Fucking Google that if you don't know what that is.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of Kamen Rider, because that's like Kamen Rider's signature move is like the rider kick with a similar angle of just fucking destroying fucking monsters and stuff. Yeah, I have no idea if it was a reference or not.
I don't know either.
It's probably just fucking cool. Which is
so
absolutely true.
So like the long story short, this like weird gambit with the degeneracy generator and like going inside the black hole bomb, time dilation occurs, and basically they end up getting time dilated 12,000 years into the future, and then they come back to Earth and they're like, oh, Earth looks different. Oh, what the fuck is up with Earth? Oh no, did humanity die? Are we in like a post-apocalyptic world and all humanity's dead and there's nothing to look forward to? And then the lights come on and the planet says, welcome home. They were waiting for him. In the far future, they didn't forget. They knew. It's beautiful.
It was a super triumphant ending.
It's a beautiful fucking ending.
Because, like, the interesting thing about that, and the reason why I think it's so impactful, obviously in addition to just, like, the character motivations and being invested in their arc, is that, like, time travel throughout the entire series is shown as, like, this is pretty bad. Dilation is, like, negative consequences and stuff. Every time there's a time dilation from their travel, like, it's a negative or, like, somber kind of thing, as, like, ages and stuff are being desynced and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you're expecting, like, kind of like a downer of this huge fucking jump.
Yeah.
But when that welcome home pops up, it's like, oh, yes, everything's okay. It's like, it's not all bad at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh, man.
It's super hype.
It's so good, because, like, you don't, I don't know, I didn't expect it, but it's very, like, say you're the world government in, like, the far future, and, like, this, I don't know, it's just, it makes sense that it would work, that it would work that way. And this is how they would, like, welcome home these two, like, but this point, they're basically, like, far distant past, like, folk heroes who have just, like, time traveled to the future, and now you gotta fucking do something about it.
Myths coming to life.
Yeah.
You know, because, like, in Diebuster, they call this time period the Age of Myths.
They do, yeah. Gunbuster! This is, I mean, it's a spoiler. I don't know. Do we want to start with spoilers for Diebuster?
I mean, we said right at the top that you should have watched both of these before we talk about it.
Yeah, like...
Right?
Yeah. The end of Diebuster is the end of Gunbuster. It's that same moment of, like...
Dude, that hit me like a fucking gut punch. It was so fucking cool.
Dude, like, okay, I get... Like, when you realize that Nono Riri is Noriko, that the girl that Nono's been talking about the whole time is Noriko, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. It's a reference to the first. Oh, this is like the future of Gunbuster. I get it. But then the ending, you realize it's not just the future. It's that exact moment in the future. Like, now is the time. We saw it before, but now we get to see it from the ground.
Oh, dude. Because, like, something that needs to be mentioned about Diebuster is that, like, up until, like, that last kind of point, the last, like, 45 or so seconds of the entire show, it's very loosely connected to Gunbuster because there's this huge time skip, and it doesn't specifically tell you in the beginning how it's related. We only know that, like, oh, it's that future from Gunbuster from the ending. In the beginning, you're just like, I guess they're space monsters still?
If you just watched Diebuster, like the first episode, you might not even think it's actually a sequel.
I would not have, not at all.
You would just think maybe it was like a spiritual successor or like a similar anime by the same studio. It's not even necessarily in the same world, because like there are giant robots, there are space monsters, but the space monsters don't look the same.
Right.
And
I mean, you could name like 50 shows that have giant robots and space monsters, so that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. And like the main character, you find out really early that Nono is a robot, and like nobody thinks that's that weird. They're like, oh yeah, they're rare around here, but like, you know, they're pretty common around Pluto. You know, it's fine.
I'm a fucking idiot because I totally missed that she was a robot. Somehow I missed that line. Maybe I looked away at the wrong time to grab like some chips or some shit. But like I didn't realize she was a robot for a while, and it took me by surprise when she's on Pluto.
I was gonna say you must have been confused when she goes to Pluto and she doesn't need a space
I was
suit.
like, what the fuck is happening? And,
there's like
I'm an idiot, I guess.
I mean, in the first episode, there's like a pretty gruesome shot of after the space monster takes off, and like she gets like, I mean, one assumes she's like burnt up in orbit by like the act of this thing like literally taking off into space with her just on it. But then it ends up, she like moves. Turns out she's not dead, and it's like, oh, okay, she's a robot. So
I think I just figured the atmosphere burns hot, but her heart burns hotter. You know, some fucking Oda shit.
How did you think she was able to like stand up on its body in space, like run along its thing, and like
this is a Gynex show.
Deliver the Inazuma kick.
This is a Gynex show. Shit just happens sometimes.
You just thought, oh no,
I go into anime to spending all of my disbelief.
She's just a regular just a regular girl, but she's just like got a lot of determination.
She's a main character in an anime. She obviously has the deck stacked in her favor.
So she can just like kick the fucking exoskeleton off of like a space demon. Yeah, sure.
Maybe. I mean, okay. I don't know.
No, that's pretty funny. Yeah,
I knew obviously she was like superhuman. I just don't think I made the connection that she was a robot because I'm an idiot and I must have missed a very crucial line.
They say it sort of casually because like it's not that big a deal. Because like
maybe it was the lack of big deal that made me just gloss over and forget about it.
They say like, oh yeah, rogue robots like this are on Pluto. They're not that rare. Like, oh okay, cool, gotcha. And then like they talk about how like Nono pilot a Buster? It's like, well, an AI has never piloted one before, but it's theoretically possible.
Yeah. I feel like I fucked up because like that seems like such a huge part of the show, and like it would have done two things. It would have recontextualized my appreciation for Nono as a character because that's like kind of important to her angle and her relationships with the other characters and the world building because obviously machines are just a thing. And I probably would have seen coming that she was a Buster machine if I had known that she was a robot the whole time. So like my casual glance away clearly fucked me for this entire show.
I'm generally not someone who's good at like predicting like where a show's gonna go or like predicting twists. So I did not like, even though I knew she was a robot, I didn't think like maybe she's a Buster machine. That was like, because like what is a Buster machine? Can just any fucking thing be a Buster machine? The black hole bomb was a Buster machine, so yeah, I guess. Well, I guess a Buster machine is just any machine that is powered by degeneracy generators and is designed to defeat space monsters. Maybe.
I mean, it seems like. Because that's the whole thing. Like, I was trying to figure out like what the Buster machines were, because we have this huge like 12,000 year gap between Gunbuster and Diebuster. So like, I guess the point is that even in the context of Diebuster, they don't really know what Buster machines are because they're just kind of relics from the Age of Myths that they're kind of like inherited, and they don't know how to make more. They don't understand really how they work.
Wait, no. Don't they make more? Like, don't. Okay, the one that the white-haired girl ends up piloting, wasn't that like a new one that they just made?
Did they make it or did they like restore it? Because they had to
go
find
they made
one
it,
on
but
Pluto,
I don't know.
Right? I don't. Because like
they do say like,
they talk about how they don't understand how this technology works or anything a lot of the times, and how like it's. And in the end, they're talking about how Gunbuster, number 7 has abandoned us, so we have to. This is Earth's trial by fire. We have to defend ourselves against the space monsters under our own power and stuff. So it kind of seemed to imply that they didn't have a complete 100% grasp on Buster machines as a technology. It seemed like it was talking about those as like old tech that was lost to time. Because when they find out that the space monsters that they've been fighting in Diebuster are part of number 7, and that's a whole like they were supposed to be defending Earth against the real space monsters, they don't understand that, and so like they're gone and they can't control them. So it's like they didn't see that coming. So like I don't know.
The pink robot in the episode where like there's the new one and Nono like wants to pilot it. They say like or like the old guy who used to pilot I don't remember any of the robots' names, by the way. They're all like really hard to remember.
Yeah.
The one that used to pilot like the main one, Lulk's or Princess Lulk or whatever, One-Sama's robot. They say that like these things sometimes they just don't wake up. I thought that what he was saying was that this is a new one. We made a new one, but like sometimes they just don't work and we don't know why. So I thought that, they had made this one, but, like, they didn't really understand the technology because, like, sometimes it just fails and they don't have an explanation for it. They do send her to Pluto to go find one, and they say that they uncover that one on the planet, but it turns out to be the old space monster. And go on.
No, I'm just going to say, regardless of whether they're making new ones and bad at it or retrofitting old ones, I guess the point still stands that they don't have full mastery of this technology.
Definitely. Yeah, like, definitely they don't make them like they used to. Because, like...
Indeed.
Noriko is, like, obviously better. Or, no, sorry, No is obviously better. And, like, once it pulls the horn out of its head, number 19 or whatever is obviously better than all the other ones. I had forgotten about, like, the twist with, like, the horn and that one guy.
Yeah.
That one guy.
That one guy. Which guy? I know what you're talking about with the horn and, like, the Buster, the
yeah, when he pulls it out and reveals his
or whatever the fuck it was called.
When he becomes cool.
He strikes the Gynex pose
of
does. Like having his arms crossed and like some sort of cape billowing behind him.
His robot face looks a little too human, if you ask me.
They all kind of looked pretty human with like the human-esque kind of eyes and stuff. But like that's kind of like a throwback to like old giant robo shows where they did that a lot too.
That guy looks very much like Gigantor kind of style. That guy really looks like an old school giant robot to me.
Which I suppose was maybe intentional because he's supposed to be old by even like the standards of that technology because it's from back in the day.
Absolutely.
It was fucking sick though. I didn't understand why Lulk was still able to pilot it after she lost her topless powers. I didn't even really understand what topless powers were.
It's yeah. In like, okay, so in like the future, in this future time, there are still giant robots, but only certain people can power them. And it's only like young people who have access to like heightened emotional states, which cause like super brainwave events or something.
That's pretty fooly-cooly when you think about it.
It's okay. Everything with the topless powers is so fooly-cooly. How like you seal the power away with like a sticker on your forehead, and like when you use it, like you're fucking the glow like emanates from your forehead and shit. Yeah, like the whole scene at the beginning of her like of Lulk like slapping the tag on Noriko or Nono's head and it splits is so like it's so fooly-cooly. Episode 1 is like so fucking fooly-cooly it hurts.
It really is. Like the whole battle with the first monster on Mars or a moon of Mars.
Yeah, it was Mars.
Yeah. It like very much felt like, the kind of the stuff at the end of Fooly-Cooly or like some of the fights with Kanti. It very much just in terms of choreography and cinematography and stuff. Very...
Yeah. It's there's the part where the part where like Noriko gets like stuck on the leg of the monster. It kind of feels like the part where Naota gets stuck to the Medica Mechanica robot that has to fight Kanti in episode 1. It also kind of feels like the part where Commander Amuro is like hanging from like the wrinkles of the hand as it's going down to grab the Medica Mechanica building. There's just especially early on, there's like so many little moments. It's like, this looks exactly like that other thing that happened in Fooly-Cooly. Like,
I wonder if they were using like the same kind of like base keyframes.
Honestly, I think they might have just traced scenes. Some of their scenes. Like I think they might have just done that, which is fine.
Yeah, because it still looks amazing and better than like almost all anime.
I guess
it's just funny.
What I want to know, do you think that Fooly-Cooly takes place in the same universe? I think you could probably make the case that it might.
You could.
Yeah.
There's nothing really in Fooly-Cooly that disproves it that I can recall.
I mean, I guess we assume that Fooly-Cooly takes place on Earth. But like we see Earth in this world and it doesn't really look like Fooly-Cooly, so maybe not. Or maybe it takes place in like before, maybe it takes place either like before Noriko or else like after, maybe sometime during like the interregnum, like when, like after the Earth like sealed away warp technology and stuff, and like maybe Medica Mechanica is just from some other, like it's unrelated to the space aliens or anything. It's just some like other entity somewhere out there in space that is like kind of pursuing its own agenda.
Haruko's Vespa, the most powerful Buster machine ever created.
There's Vespa riding in this show as well. It's again in the first episode. I don't know,
where Lulk gets her headgear and she's trying to get the Vespa started and like freaks out and kicks it. I'm like, yeah, that's an FLCL scene right there.
Yeah. The part where when Noriko becomes number 7, like is just like the part where Naota gets the powers of Adamusk.
Yeah.
And it just feels the same. It has the same energy to it.
I mean, it also has the same energy as when like Simone finally becomes a man. Like it's the same kind of pose and the same angle and the same kind of like, you know, gutsy speech. It's fucking hype. That's what Gynex is fucking great at. It's just like getting your dick rock hard and just getting your hype dialed up to 12.
The end of Diebuster is basically like a smaller scale version of the end of Gurren Lagann. Like she makes the big like planet-sized version of herself by like combining all of the like mini robots or the mini aliens or whatever.
The red Milky Way.
The part where Lulk fucking like uses her like dimension powers and like grabs the core of Jupiter and just like throws it into
so fucking good.
It's so fucking cool. Oh yeah, okay. So it's really interesting that like, okay, when the show started, I see the space aliens, and I'm like, those aliens look different, but like maybe it's just an art style change.
Yeah, because the aesthetic is so much fucking different from the original.
It's like, okay, I think they're supposed to be the aliens from Gunbuster, but they don't quite look the same, but like they call them the same thing, so I think it's just an art style thing. But then later on, no, these space monsters God, it's like, they're the defense.
Yeah, they're part of Buster Machine number 7 or no.
They're a defense system for the solar system that was designed to defend against the space monsters, but it like was like an evolving organism, and so it just kind of naturally evolved to look more like the space monsters because I guess they're like well evolved to like survive in space or whatever.
Yeah, and then they start attacking humans because the topless powers is the same, like I guess like the energy that the topless harness is the same kind of fluctuating gravity field that the space monsters are.
Yeah,
it was kind of unclear.
It was very unclear. I want to talk about that. When they find one of the original space monsters, they call it, henceforth they call them fluctuating gravity fields, which is a really fucking weird name for these things, which they don't look like a gravity field. They just look like a big, like weird, like space amoeba. So I don't understand that naming convention at all. But yeah, it's the twins say like, oh, this is a comrade. Like, this is an eternal topless. Right. So, yeah, I guess there's some kind of connection between the topless power and the original space monsters from Gunbuster. They are the same in some way, tap into the same power, I guess?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's weird, because like, they're implying that, like, the twins were, like, eating the fucking space monster or something, because like the guy like pukes in his mouth and he's like, oh god, that weird crab meat they fed me that I didn't want to eat, it smelled bad, was actually this thing. And like, were the twins good or bad? They kind of seemed like they were just out for their own thing, and this entire operation was just an excuse for them to commune with the eternal topless, which happened to be a space alien, because they tell Nono about the Buster on Pluto specifically because I guess they already know she's a Buster, and they send her away to have half of the space monster fleet chase her, so their fight can be easier, so their forces can keep the monsters at bay while they exhume the rest of the Eternal Topless.
I don't think they knew that Nono was a buster. I think they just knew that the space monsters follow her. And were like, if we send her away, the space monsters will go where she goes.
That's fair.
But, like, okay, I don't understand what's up with the twins, because it's basically just outright said that, like, they're actually really old.
Right.
So one presumes that they have some sort of, like, unnatural way of extending their ability to remain topless. Because, like, everyone else that gets old stops being topless.
You lose your topless ability.
Yeah. And, but I don't know. And I guess maybe it's connected to them eating the meat of this fucking thing.
Possibly. I would assume
that's the only explanation I can even think of.
The twins are introduced and discarded pretty quickly. They serve mostly as just kind of a plot device to get the real space monsters into the fray.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's his name? The guy, the Lauk's sort of like boyfriend or whatever. He like talks to them over the intercom in like the first episode, but then I don't know. They're just kind of in the back. They just talk about them in the background until they show up, turn out to be evil, turn out to be like willing to sacrifice all the other topless pilots in order to commune or do something with this thing, with a space monster that they seem to think is like the key to them like never losing their topless abilities, because like that's their worst nightmare, and it kills them because I don't know, they're bad. And it's a fucking freak monster demon, and I guess the space monsters are just really fucking powerful, like way more powerful than these like fake ones that they've been fighting, than like the defense drones or whatever. I guess they must really not make them like they used to, because these like newer busters, like the old Buster could take out a space monster, but these new ones are just shit and just can't fucking do it.
The Buster machines that they've been using are not nearly as powerful as the original Gunbuster, because like that was, I think, one of the really interesting things of introducing quote unquote real space monsters halfway through, is that it just really changes the power dynamic of everything you've seen in the show so far. You think that these busters are as strong as the original Gunbuster, but no. The original Gunbuster was on a league incomparable.
They're shit. Everything you've been so impressed by so far, dog shit.
Total fucking garbage. It's like, oh, okay. Like they've been like struggling fighting against like 1/1,000,000th of number 7's Buster machine. And like even that is giving them a hard time. So it's just like, well, that's unfortunate.
Although, I guess the only reason why Lauk's can end up helping out is because it turns out that hers is like even older than they all thought.
It does seem to imply that like the closer you are to number 1, the more powerful the Buster machine itself is. Because like Dick's Noof, whatever the fuck it is, I'm looking at the wiki right now. Yeah, that's number 9, I believe they say. It's either 9 or 17. Which one?
I think it was 19.
I might be getting them confused. It might be 19, which is
but
still,
it's in the teens. Like, it's pretty low.
It's significantly lower numbered than the other
like
ones.
was probably made within like a lifetime of the original Gunbuster having been made.
I don't understand why Lauk can still pilot it after she loses her topless abilities, other than just like, you know, your guts burn hotter than the restrictions.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, I don't know, because like the original Gunbuster, and I guess Gunbuster 2, Gunbuster machines number 1 and number 2 that were piloted by Noriko and Amano, they don't have topless. You don't need to be a topless. Like, they don't even know what that is at the time. Just
maybe when
presumably just anyone could fucking pilot those things.
Well, I guess maybe it's because when he pulls the horn out, that lets her get to the original cockpit, and maybe if you're using the original cockpit, you don't need to be a topless.
Yeah, like, I assume that one, since it's that old, must have been designed, you know, similarly to the original one, which, anybody could pilot it. I don't know if the show ever, like, even hints at us, like, I feel like there's something I'm missing here. Like, what exactly is the topless power? Why are the robots designed to... I guess the robots are like powered by the topless energy. It says like when you do like a fucking super attack with your super buster robot, it's your topless like emotion power that is like powering the beam or whatever. So I guess they're designed to like work with that, but yeah, the old better ones just don't require it. I don't know why. That's just how it is.
It's not made. I mean, both Gunbuster and Diebuster both have narrative that don't go out of their way to spoon feed you. You know?
No.
And that's kind of cool. I do like that to a degree, but there are certain like key concepts like the topless. And like why is it even called the topless? That's weird. Like I mean that's a very kind of Gynex thing to do. I mean they do find a chance in both the first and last episode to have their main characters be topless momentarily. So
yeah,
I mean,
because no is like, oh, haha, I'll just rip my shirt off. Hey, look, you said you had to be topless to be a space pilot. Now I am. Ha 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 ha. Also tits now.
Yeah.
Based. I don't know. It's maybe. I feel like the word might sound cool in Japanese.
It's very possible.
Like, because they say it, I feel like maybe it's like kind of a cool, like foreign sounding word that's like, oh, that's neat. But like in English, it's like topless. Like, what is that? Why? doesn't matter. Oh, I was gonna say something else about. Oh, yeah. Did I mention the thing about Nono Riri? And how the whole time she's talking about this Nono Riri, and it turns out it's like her like corrupted memory, just like misremembered no Riko.
Yeah.
And like the first thing she said when the scientist like broke her out of the comet was no Riko. And I was like, oh, neat.
Right.
Connection. The connection is made.
That's pretty cool.
Got it. Very, very cool. And I guess at the time that Nono was made, Noriko was like a national hero or whatever, and they like either they programmed into her or maybe she just like learned it from like being around in a world where everyone loved her and like celebrated her as like the savior of humanity. That like, oh yeah, Noriko, she was a real cool hero. Be like her.
I mean, I would assume if
goal.
You're making a Buster machine with a humanoid shape, you'd want to like imbue them with some understanding of the history of the conflict that led to its creation, and Noriko is a central figure to that.
Yeah, but I mean, since Nono is basically just like a person, they might have just like, told her.
Yeah.
Like they might have just like educated her about it and been
I guess my assumption was that before she got trapped in the comet, Nono was like not as much of a ditz and more of just like kind of like the badass destroyer that she eventually becomes by the end, with less of the ditzy. I always assumed that the kind of like personality that we know of Nono came from her upbringing on Mars and her interactions with people as like a lower, this normal kind of person, as opposed to that was how she was the whole time. But that's complete conjecture.
I think it's the like kind of gruff like captain looking, the captain guy. I think he speculates that like the reason why Nono what would have been made with like a human form and a human heart is because she was designed to like guard humans.
Yeah, he does say that.
So to me that suggests that like Nono basically just is like a Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Just is a human, just has like a human's like personality.
To give her that personal investment in keeping Earth safe.
Yeah. She's just, so maybe she was just as ditzy before. Or not. I don't know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. Ah, man, what a great fucking show.
Yeah. That whole, they dedicate like basically an entire episode to after Nono becomes, Buster number 7, of just like the topless who have been like this pinnacle of like human like ingenuity and like this is what we need. There's just a whole episode where it's like you just have a disease now. You're like the scum of the earth. We hate you. And like how all the pilots are kind of reacting to just like having their badge of honor taken from them and becoming a blight literally overnight.
This was like they say a bunch of times in the series that like when you're a Buster pilot, like that's all you are. Like your whole identity is wrapped up in your ability to pilot this Buster, and if you lose that, you got nothing. And that's why like when they go to Pluto to supposedly find that like buried Buster, the old guy's like, "No, I could still do it. I want it. Like I bet I can still be topless if I really tried." But he can't. It's too late.
Right. His whole life is kind of just falling apart when he lost his topless powers, which is why he's just basically like a space janitor, essentially.
But he gave it up on purpose. He says later he decided to retire early because he was like afraid of like hitting the point when his power wouldn't work anymore, and so he like quit before that happened, so he would like never have to face the reality of, oh, I'm not, like, my topless days are over.
Right.
I can never pilot it again.
Worked out well for him, as we can clearly see.
It was great, yeah.
There's a message in there somewhere.
Fuck, what was I talking about?
How they were based,
how everyone,
and then they weren't based.
Once Nono shows up, and it's like, oh, you're Buster number 7? You're like more powerful than all of our fucking giant robots combined and like times 100? Oh, bummer. We're all completely irrelevant now.
Yeah.
So like
it's not only that they're irrelevant, it's that they realize that the topless power is what's attracting like the space monsters and stuff, and like having Nono's drones attacking humans in the first place, so they have to stop using it because it's like putting humanity in danger.
Yeah, but then I guess the reason why they end up piloting them again is because like I guess once Nono's in control of the fleet, she can like make them not attack the topless anymore. So it's fine now.
Well, it's because the reason they start using the Buster machines again is because Nono leaves and she takes the red Milky Way with them, which is what was keeping the actual space aliens out of the solar system in the first place.
Right.
So they really have no choice. That's the biggest guns they have.
Why did the space monsters show up again? I know the one like hatches out of the black hole. Was that just like random?
I guess. I mean, like there's the part where they're breaking out of the black hole and Nono is supposed to stop them, but she doesn't. She just like bombs out and then they just warp away. So I guess like the space monsters are just back, and that's bad. Not super clear.
Does she leave? She leaves because she's like, okay, I can't deal with this. I have to like spend several weeks combining my red Milky Way galaxy into the giant robot version of myself.
I guess
that'll fucking Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann its ass.
Yeah,
or whatever. And then she just ends up like not using it. Like,
yeah, it just kind of it's just there to get destroyed. Pretty much.
It's just there so that it and the like giant like space projection version of Laux can have like a planetary scale like fist fight.
Yeah,
which is like one micro
out of
version
nowhere
of like the Gurren Lagann battle.
Right. And it's like, man, if you had that giant fucking robot that could take on number 7, like why not use that against the fucking monster instead of throwing the Earth into it? And another thing is like they say that there's like 13 planets in the solar system now. We have options. Why are we hucking the Earth at them? We got bigger guns we can use. Come on. Who needs Mercury? Fuck Mercury.
I wonder if it's just because it's like the other ones are too far away. Or something. Maybe,
I guess. But like, I mean, we clearly have sublight travel, and like we can go pretty. I don't know. It's very. I mean, I would assume either. The point is that A, Earth is the closest, and that's the target that this monster is going to, anyways. And B, the emotional impact of like we're going to have to destroy our home so we can live.
They do when Lalk is talking to the Council of Elders or whatever. I remember she says like. They're like, oh, do we have to destroy the Earth to save humanity? Like, do we really have to go so far just to survive? And Lauk is like, we'll let whoever ends up surviving judge us. Like whoever does survive, we'll get to judge. And then there's like when Amino is going back to like her final mission with Noriko, she's on like the elevator car or whatever, and the cadet that's talking to her says like, she says something similar. He says like, maybe we don't have a right to kill the galaxy, to like black hole the center of the galaxy to stop these space parasite or these space monsters. It's like, what right do we have to do it? And she says like, you know, who like we'll let history will judge us. For now, we just have to make sure we're the ones that survive or whatever.
Right.
It's like the same kind of sentiment.
Both of the Gunbuster and Diebuster have tons of like parallels like that throughout the entire plot.
That's my favorite part about them is just how they connect to each other. Like each one makes the other so good. Like you'd be missing so much of either if you didn't watch both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, even just for the endings, having the context of the endings alone is worth watching both.
They have the same ending. They have the same ending from two different perspectives. Ah!
It's like even down to the shot of like, you know, Lulk looking up at the two glimmering busters in the sky and then them looking down on the welcome home. And like, you can tell like the whole city lights up around Lulk because you know that's where the lights are saying, well, it's so fucking good. It's a 10 out of 10. Perfect.
I know it is 10 out of fucking 10. Okay. May I ask if there's nothing else you want to bring up, I want to ask the question on everyone's mind. I want to address the elephant in the room.
Do it.
You ready?
All right, go.
All right, gun to your head. Which one's better?
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm pulling the fucking trigger, dude. You got 2 seconds.
I guess Gunbuster. I'll go Gunbuster.
Really? Gunbuster?
Yeah. I really like
Justify yourself.
I like the aesthetic, and I like the animation and the choreography and all that stuff of Diebuster better. But the concept of like the time dilation and how so much of the conflict was focused around that really I really got me invested in Gunbuster, and I almost wished there was more of that in Diebuster because it was so fucking cool of an idea. I feel like Diebuster is like the one that like if you just want to like sit back and relax and like watch something really fucking cool, you throw on Diebuster again. But I feel like Gunbuster has like a lot of really heavy impact, and like there's things to like there's things to think about in both, but like that one just like the science and like the kind of like very controlled start versus the wacky ending and the escalation, like it's I don't know, it's just the one that I remember, not the more, but like I just remember that hard turn of like, we're talking about time dilation really like got me to strap in. So
yeah,
I'll narrowly give it to Gunbuster, even though I'd probably rewatch Diebuster first. I
think that's the big strength. The big strength that Gunbuster has. Well, I mean, the like initial sort of like Rocky style like training sequence, I think do add a lot to Gunbuster. Like Noriko doesn't, or Nono does. I keep mixing them up. Nono doesn't really have to do any of that because she's just like a fucking badass robot. Even before she realizes she's a buster, she's still like basically a superhuman robot right from the beginning. She can survive in space and do the Inazuma kick and all that. And so yeah, Gunbuster's good for that. And yeah, the hard, like the real science that's like real, taken really seriously, but used to achieve like sci-fi, like weird, like crazy shit that is like played for drama in Gunbuster is super good. And Diebuster doesn't really have that. There's like they like a point is made in Diebuster that like, okay, after we sealed off warp technology, we sealed off like faster than light travel, and so there's not really an opportunity for that kind of stuff. Like nobody does that stuff anymore in the future of Diebuster, much to their benefit. But they so that a lot of the quote unquote science in Diebuster is just mumbo jumbo. That I do appreciate that like they talk about ether like in Diebuster or in Gunbuster, they say that like space is not a vacuum, it's full of like an ether field. You know, it's the ether theory of like light whatever. They talk about ether, like when the busters like do this weird like sparkling thing because they're like powered up. They say, "Oh, the ether is sparking." It's like, yeah, okay. They occasionally reference like the, but like this, yeah, they don't have the same focus on like hard science concepts in Diebuster, and it's too bad. It's very like Diebuster is very like it's very like ooh woo, kind of like, don't worry too much about it.
It's exactly what you would expect from Gainax at the time.
It is, and I think it's, I part of me wants to roll my eyes at a little bit, but I do think that the hype moments in Gunbuster are like more effective at being hype than Gunbuster are. It's got more of that like raw emotional stuff, even if it's cheesier at times.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, you watch Diebuster for hype, watch Gunbuster for think.
Yeah, I think so. And then, I mean, the ending was good the first time when Gunbuster did it. But then when Diebuster does it again, you go, "Oh, wow!"
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
I really
the ending of Diebuster wouldn't be anything without Gunbuster. So like, it's mandatory that you like don't skip Gunbuster.
Oh no,
you'll fuck yourself. You have to watch Gunbuster first.
Definitely don't skip Gunbuster. Do not do it. I hope that nobody went and listened to this and got the ending spoiled. But if you did,
my God.
But if you did, you were warned.
Yeah, leave a comment if you fucked up so we can viciously mock you.
One of my favorite things about Fooly Cooly. Yeah, tell us. Let us know if you fucked up, you idiot. I love Fooly Cooly because it's really good and it's really short. And Gunbuster and Diebuster are also really short. I love that. That's so good. More shows should just be like 6 episodes.
The lost art of the 6-episode OVA.
It is
a real shame.
Like, when was there ever an anime that needed to be longer than 6 episodes? Never. There's never been one. And there never will be.
Don't you find it weird that they fucking compressed Diebuster down to like what, 2 movies or something? 1 or 2 movies?
Have you seen the movies? I haven't seen them.
I have not. But it just seems like this is already so compressed. Like, wouldn't 2 movies be the same length, if not longer, than this? Like,
yeah,
what are you compressing?
They basically be the same.
Like, what's the point?
Huh. I don't know, man. Maybe they might actually be longer. Maybe they just like added additional content.
According to the Wikipedia article, it says it condenses. Oh no, it's Gunbuster and Diebuster into 2 movies. It's not just.
Oh, that'd be weird.
That sounds shitty.
Honestly, yeah. Like, they're not meant. That they'd have to cut out a lot. I'm sure they could do it, and it would be okay. But like, imagine watching that movie, and it's just clearly 2 like completely different shows.
It'd be really weird.
Yeah.
If they did Gunbuster as a movie and it was in like modern anime style, I feel like so much of the tone of Gunbuster is in that like late 80s aesthetic.
Oh yeah. For sure. No,
you couldn't watch Gunbuster in modern Gainax. It would be kind of weird.
I think it would be a totally different show.
Yeah. Like those fucking matte painted space aliens, like that really, like that aesthetic is like so essential to a lot of the shots in that. I don't know. I wouldn't want to see that like as a CG thing or something or whatever they would do now.
I'm trying to imagine, if they just like if they just did a remake of Gunbuster, but it looked like Diebuster. I don't know. That would just be like, that would be dumb. It wouldn't be the same.
It would not.
I wouldn't even, although it might be interesting. I guess I would be interested to see it, but it could never replace the original because the original is so steeped in that like in that 80s anime look and like the whole like Rocky vibes and shit. I don't know. You just couldn't do it.
And yet they did.
They didn't remake it. What? What?
I don't know if they did or not. Did they reanimate it, or there's just a cut version?
Oh God, I fucking hope not.
I think it looks like they edited it together. Okay.
Just like smashed 2 completely different art styles into one movie. Oh boy. Very weird.
Well,
yeah.
The uneducated, because I haven't seen them, but I would still recommend watching the OVA because that's how it was originally intended to be.
I mean, it's only 6 episodes. It's not like
it's not a huge ask.
Just unlike you, like Digi and Nate, fucking idiot, like everyone else on the podcast who didn't show up to this because they didn't have time to watch a 6-episode OVA. I promise you have time to watch a 6-episode OVA and then watch another one.
I would argue the OVA is easier to watch because you can watch it in half-an-hour chunks after work over the course of a week if you need to.
Yeah.
Who pauses a movie halfway through?
Nobody. No fucking buddy. Yeah, it's flexible. You can watch it on your own terms. You can have it your way.
Yeah, I mean, it's 6 episodes, 27 minutes each. That's what, like just over 2 hours.
I watched all of Diebuster this morning before
instead of watching Avengers Endgame for the 15th time, expand your palette. Watch Gunbuster. You'll be happy you did.
Hopefully you already did, or else you fucked up.
Yeah, please.
But if you didn't, it's still worth it.
This is how you pitch it to your friends, your smooth-brained friends.
If you did listen to this and you spoiled it for yourself, now you can never experience the joy of a first time seeing Diebuster. But you can tell you will have to experience it vicariously by strong-arming people you know into watching them, and you're just gonna have to watch and see their reaction, so you can think, God, I wish that were me.
You'll be like the twins chasing the eternal topless. You'll be chasing the eternal rush of experiencing that ending to Diebuster.
Yes. There's Ava. There's a lot of Ava in Diebuster. There's like, especially in the part with the eternal topless, the fucking the gravity field or whatever. Like when all the pilots start dying is like, and then the old like ex-pilot is like, yeah, actually piloting a Buster is like really fucking scary. But he means it's scary in that like once it has its claws into you, like you never want to stop doing it, and like eventually you will have to stop and it will devastate you and you will be a shell of a person, like me, he says. Tragic. Boy, I don't know. We got anything else to say about these masterpieces?
I'm pretty tapped. I think I've said what I wanted to say. It's just fucking great.
Yeah.
It's aesthetic as fuck.
Yeah.
It's good storytelling. It'll keep you asking questions, and those questions will prompt rewatches, which is always nice. I'm sure I'll be watching these again at some point. Yeah.
This
highly
is
recommended.
My second or third time seeing them. I mean, we've been talking now for what, like a quarter of the entire runtime of the whole series, so
yeah, if you couldn't justify spending the time watching them, but you listen to this entire podcast,
you fucked
I question your time management skills.
You fucked up, my friend. Nah. Yeah, all right. This has been the first and only episode of the BUSTERCAST, starring Die and Gun.
It's up to you to decide who's who.
Die Oliver and Gun Saint, or something like that. Yeah. All right. Follow our channel. Ring the bell. More on its way. Bye.
Later.